Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, this is one of those few chapters in a while that I can honestly say it started off great and managed to stick the landing amazingly. Because now it isn't without flaws, but for the most part, this felt like a perfectly flowing chapter for the most part. And like obviously the big thing is Mirio throughout the majority of the chapter was feeling despair, fear, uncertainty, like just sinking into this like absolutely sinking into this pit of absolute like darkness of like it's over, it's all over, I don't know what the fuck to do. And just she just felt generally overwhelmed by Shigaraki's power that ultimately he was too afraid to act or know what would even be the right course of action to take in order to buy just the few seconds they needed. And I know some may not like it, but I absolutely love the decision Horikoshi made of Mirio using his secret technique to distract Shigaraki. Like, I do agree if there are people who want to argue that the way it's paced is definitely comes across as maybe a bit of a tonal whiplash, but in context of the story, it makes all the sense in the world from a narrative and thematic level. Mirio needed a means by which to distract Shigaraki, but his fears and doubts were overwhelming him to the point where all he could do was fall back on the words and wisdom of his mentor, Night Eye, who basically said that yeah, smiles will protect the future, all that stuff, and Night Eye was, and even though it was done in a roundabout way, Night Eye was ultimately right. It's thanks to Mirio's little stunt that bought the precious few seconds Izuku needed to strike at Shigaraki, and now that Izuku is back, there's actually a chance for a brighter future, which, again, while maybe a slight pacing issue on the actual transition, the way this was built up and executed was absolutely amazing on Horikoshi's part. Like, the moment Mandalay said they had to lower the barrier, I was like, wait, is he here? Then I got word from Mirio as to whether or not he was going to die. Then it finished with that final piece, Mirio distracting Shigaraki so Izuku could get his shot in, and it all felt like it all flowed to near perfection into the final page. Like, again, the way this was narratively constructed was beautiful. Minor pacing flubs, but again, just beautiful in the way this chapter was constructed. Now, with that said, even though I do love the way this chapter is narratively constructed, the way it was technically constructed is a bit of a different story. And I don't normally talk about, and this leads into something I don't normally talk about, which is page and panel layout of the chapter. And this is where I do have to give a bit more of a critique of the chapter, because honestly, for the first handful, like 3-4 pages of the chapter, paneling wasn't bad, maybe a few bumps, but nothing terrible. Then by page 5 and beyond, that's where I feel something got out of control in how Horikoshi did the layout work. Because it started feeling crowded, busy, chaotic, and that stuff there was even too, and all that stuff. And there was even 2 pages. You'll know the ones I'm talking about. That felt like it could have honestly been one whole page. Like, it's basically 2 separate pages that have a close-up of Shigaraki and Izuku's faces. And again, maybe it's just me and I need to wait until how it'll look in book format, but just from reading this chapter on the Shonen Jump app, I got the vibe that these 2 pages should have been one single panel page, with the final page spread maybe being the last page, and now I think how this is probably, that said, I think how this is going to look in the paperback format is it's going to be just the 2 panels on top with the page spread on the bottom. I think that's how this will look when we get it in the actual paperback format. But yeah, just something, I don't know, something about the way the paneling was done in that last chunk of the chapter really felt off to me. I can't describe it. With that said, one thing I definitely want to see in next chapter is an explanation, if possible, for how Izuku got there. And I don't want to fall on backstory, but I definitely want an idea of how he made it back, because for as awesome as Izuku's entrance was, he's been off screen for a while now, and that just gets my brain going into a space where I'm like, fuck yeah, Izuku's back, but wait, how did he get here? I mean, I know the obvious answer is he probably flew or speed ran back, but there needs to be a little bit of a clarification to connect there needs to be a little bit of clarification to connect the dots, because just not getting anything with Izuku in between all of what's happened so far, there is a slightly weird disconnect in my mind. Like, again, his entrance in itself is great, but there's a lot that feels like is missing from the in-between stage of this, and also with Horikoshi more or less just trying to get this over with, get this series over with and rush to the end. I'm not even sure how likely that is. Like, again, it sounds like I'm like a minor problem that I'm nitpicking, but the more I thought about it and thought about it upon reread, it did bug me a bit more, mainly because, like, if I remember correctly, the last time we saw Izuku, he was I think he ended up like being alerted to something, and then he ended up being alerted to something after he was like transported away, and then boom, nothing after that. Like, it's just like he didn't even, like, it's like he was alerted to something, and then that was dropped, and now we're here. Like, something about the in between here just doesn't add up to me. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. Enjoy the video, like, comment, subscribe from my Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.